Hi, I'm Deanna Baker, and welcome to today's segment of Black Lives Matters to Us 365 Days, brought to you by SodaStream News and the BLM Committee. Each month, we will bring you two thought-provoking presentations on a single topic designed to stimulate, conversate, and unite. This month's topic is the opportunity gap.
Hello, I'm Ms. Dunbar, and I'm going to be talking about the opportunity gap.
So we have the first question today. What do you think the opportunity gap is?
So the opportunity gap refers to the fact that people of color, minorities, tend to have less opportunities in life than other people. It also refers to people of lower socioeconomic status. So people from areas of high poverty tend to also receive less opportunities. And when talking about the opportunity gap, I just want to talk a little bit about Rochester and what kind of created this opportunity gap in Rochester. And a lot of that has to do with redlining. So redlining was where it was legal for banks to deny loans based on where you lived. And so they would map out these areas, and areas that were high minorities, they would red and they would not give loans to. And so this prevented people of color from being able to own property. And so this creates a wealth gap here in Rochester. And that wealth gap creates an opportunity gap.
Okay, thank you. The second question we have for you today is, how do you think this applies to School of the Arts?
From my experience, because I'm both in non-honors and honors classes. So from what I've seen from both sides, it's like when I'm in my non-honor classes, so mainly Hispanics and Blacks in that class, I see more of like kids that either don't want to try at all because they don't try, or they do try, but teachers mainly just settle back and not do much about it. From when I'm in my honors classes, kids are more involved, and teachers are also trying to help out everyone out, even the kids that don't want to be in the class that day because of certain regions. And I just see like a lot, and I see both sides like pretty much every day.
I think this applies to the School of the Arts because here at the School of the Arts, we are located in the inner city. So we are located in a city that has a lower socioeconomic status, more poverty. And so that means we receive less funding now. So a school in Penfield is going to have a lot more funding, and therefore they're going to have more AP classes for their student, which creates more opportunities. They may have more sports facilities, which are going to create more opportunities to sports scholarships than we have available to us. And that all comes back to the lack of funding.
The third question we have today is, how can we ensure that teachers take the initiative to treat every student equally?
I think education is also a big factor because a lot of teachers, they don't know that their injustice is really big, and just because it's small like that, it can lead to a huge difference. So like reading up on anti-racist books, listening to Black creators and Black students, I feel like that could be an effective way to help them understand and learn and to better themselves.
Well, I think it's important that teachers look at their own implicit bias, because sometimes we don't even realize it, but we create situations of bias within our classroom. And there's certain times we have a little bit of favorism, and it all comes unintentionally. And I know everyone has good hearts and they want the best, but sometimes we just have to reflect and we have to kind of look at the way things are laid out.
Okay, question number 4. Do you think you've been affected by the opportunity gap? If so, how and what was the outcome?
Yes, I do think I was affected by the opportunity gap, and it was through honors classes. I attended a school in Hilton where I was one of the only Black students, and as a result, I was never placed in honors classes. And so I was a straight A student and I excelled top 10% of my class, but I was never given the opportunity to be in honors. And so that creates less opportunities for me to receive scholarships in the long run. And I think this relates to the School of the Arts, because I think that's something that as a school we should always be looking at, is our honors classes and which students are being placed in honors. And we should be looking at the structure of our honors classes and making sure there's no disparity amongst certain races in honors classes, but it is spread out throughout the population. The structure of our honors classes should match or come really close to the structure of our school.
I have a mix of like yes and no. Racially, I'm white clearly, and I see my peers experiencing this, but it hasn't personally affected me in terms of race, which I am aware of my privilege. White privilege is a thing, and people need to be aware of that. Not negatively affected by it, but I see other people that are, and it just, I'm glad I'm talking about it because I've noticed that I'm using my privilege to talk about it, which is good.
For me, I mean, I've experienced it for myself a little bit and for other people. Like when people tend to look at me, they see me as white, but I'm I'm not white. But when I first came here, right, I didn't know enough of the like English that I needed to know. So when I went to any school or any classes, people would always try to tend to help me, so I'll get the extra help. But when I went to my regular classes, all my teachers just like sit there and just look at me and be like, I can't help him. He doesn't know any English. I'm just gonna let him do nothing. And I was just sitting in class for most of the time when it was, especially during elementary school, trying to learn English. They weren't really trying to help me at all, and I was just sitting in class doing nothing. And I experienced that a little bit till I started learning English because of my parents more. So I experienced it in a different way than other people have, but I have experienced it. I have seen it in other ways too, by seeing my other friends going through the same thing.
I think I've experienced a little bit of an opportunital like gap. That's not a word, I'm sorry. But it's because I think different. Like I am a very different person. I'm very sensitive. A lot of things I don't really understand or get. And teachers kind of look at me like I'm stupid, even though I'm like doing all these like honors classes, and they know that I can do it, but they also have like a little bit of doubt. And I do too. I have lots of doubt, but it would be very helpful if they didn't look at me odd and just treated me like a normal kid.
Again, I want to thank every single one of you for showing up today. This is our first Black Lives Matter topic, which was closing the opportunity gap. So thank you for tuning in and see you next time.